Didn't go to plan. It's as simple as that. Villareal win on penalties 11-10. I'm gutted. I'm not particularly angry. I thought I'd be more angry. I feel empty, disappointed, upset. Was kind of shell-shocked in the penalties because when it happened and De Gea missed the penalty, I thought Villareal still had to take another penalty to win it. So they started running, obviously, to the keeper when he saved it. And I was like, oh, I thought they had to take another one, but obviously not. First half, I thought for 10-15 minutes we started off very positively. Looked good. I thought we'd be a better team, more comfortable. Villareal weren't really creating nothing. Then they grew into the game. I thought defensively they were on point. Villareal, a lot of men behind the ball all the time, allowing us very little space most of the game. And we had very few opportunities because of that. I think Ollie got a lot wrong tonight. I'm not going to put all the blame on Ollie, but a lot of it is on Ollie tonight. I don't think Rashford should have started, as I said in the preview. I thought he was terrible again. Obviously, the goal came, you could argue it come from his shot, but it's not like he went out of his way to assist the Cavani goal. It literally takes a deflection and lands at Cavani's feet. So it's not like Rashford, he didn't purposely play a part in that goal for me. So if people are going to come at it from that angle, I'm not having it. I just watched Rashford's post-match interview. He's talking a good game and he's saying the right things, but his talk is a lot better than his performances on the pitch. It's as simple as that. Thought he was terrible tonight. Lindelof was terrible. He was at fault for the goal for me as well. I'm not going to place blame at De Gea. The only thing I would say is that their keeper scored theirs, so we can't make excuses because it's our keeper taking it that he missed it, because their keeper scored. But I'm not going to get pissed off at De Gea and blame him for the loss, because we should have won that game before it even got to penalties, before it even got to extra time, in my opinion. So I'm not going to place the blame at De Gea. We just weren't good enough, and it's a major mentality block, I think. The players aren't, I don't think Rashford just said that they're very close to winning titles. I don't think we are. I think there's a major mentality block there, and we need recruitment. We need transfers coming in this summer, more than we've seen in a number of years at this club, and I don't think that's going to happen because of who's in charge of this club, and we always do things on budgets. It's crazy. So look, let's get into the match notes because I've got double the amount of what I've usually got. McTominay with the shot outside the box, drags it wide. I thought McTominay was good tonight. Villareal at a corner at the back post, a player was sneaking in and volleyed it, but it went wide. Shaw then had a shot sort of come across, which he fired across the box. Just needs a little touch from someone, but no one gets a touch on it. Pino then had a shot from the corner. It was blocked by McTominay and went out for a corner. Bacca then crossed it, and Pau Torres with the header, but he heads it over. Rashford then had a long shot straight at the keeper. Yeremy's shot trickling wide for Villareal. They then had a free kick, Villareal, and Moreno scores from it. Poor marking from Lindelof, just doesn't get close enough to him. It's a scrappy goal. He gets his foot just to it, Moreno, and yeah, it's just poor from Lindelof. So just a soft goal, and Villareal go 1-0 up. McTominay then crossed the ball and it nearly caught the keeper out, but it went over the crossbar. Greenwood puts a cross in, Albiol got a deflection on it and nearly scored an own goal that would have been the equaliser, and that was it for the first half. So very little in terms of chances for United. Villareal then put a cross in, half chance for Bacca, who tried to go for a bit of a volley, sort of a bit of a acrobatic volley, and he got it a little bit wrong, and we eventually get it clear, but it was very lucky because that could have been a 2-0. In that moment of the game, obviously, we were lucky. We weren't lucky in the end because we lose, do you know what I mean? But at that point in the game, we get away with it. McTominay then had a shot after a free kick and got blocked and went out for a corner. Rashford then had a shot which was blocked and it landed to Cavani, and he's basically got a tap in. And he makes it 1-1, so we're back into the game. Bruno then had a shot outside the box which flied wide. Shaw then put a cross in for Cavani, who had a header which was blocked. I think if it doesn't get blocked by the defender, that's probably 2-1 to United. So it's just them inches in the game. But they're the sort of ones that have to go in, and they didn't. And they're the ones that decide the game. Albiol then had a block on Cavani close flick near the goal for Cavani, and Albiol gets a vital block. Rashford then had a shot well wide. He then followed it up with a miss-hit sort of half volley from the edge of the box. Horribly gets it wrong and went well wide again. Pogba then had a header from a clever little soft sort of finesse cross into the box by Shaw, and Pogba heads it very high over the crossbar. Has to be doing better with that. Torres then blasts over from the right side of the box, and that was the end of the game of normal time. Only a few notes for the extra time. I didn't make notes for the penalties because I've spoke about it a little bit already. But let me just say, 21 penalties and 20 of them go in. That's mental. That is crazy. Like, there were certain I'll get into it in a minute, but there were certain players that were taking penalties for United that I wouldn't have let take penalties. Do you know what I mean? Like, some of the subs he made would have been some of my first choices for penalties. So in terms of the players that did take penalties for United, I give them all the props in the world because they all scored theirs, apart from De Gea. So some of them surprised me. The quality of penalty taking was superb from both teams, but more so from United and the likes of like Dan James and even people like Twanzebe and stuff, because everyone did their job. Obviously De Gea missed his. I'm not putting the blame at his door. He's got a part to play in it, obviously, but look, it's a lottery, and I was just impressed with the amount of good penalties taken. So, extra time notes: Moreno has a shot from a narrow angle, but it was high and wide. Alcacer come on as a sub and then blast it over the bar, and then De Gea tipped over a free kick for Villareal, and that was it going into penalties. As I said, 21 penalties, 20 of them go in. Superb penalty taken. And De Gea's penalty weren't even that bad, to be fair. It was quite in the corner, and the keeper got down and saved it. And that was it. It's a bit of a lottery. I feel quite sorry for De Gea. I thought he had probably an average game. He didn't have too much to do, to be honest, in normal time and extra time. But with all the talk this year of Henderson and him and who's going and who's going to be the number one, he hasn't done himself any favours, basically, going into the next season with that talk as well. With this happening now, that could sway more in Henderson's favour now, rightly or wrongly. I did actually see Henderson embracing De Gea after the final whistle, which is nice to see, but at the end of the day, you're fighting for that spot, and I think these sort of things that happen, that's going to play a part in probably him now leaving. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. Match ratings: De Gea I'd give an average to. You could argue that he should get below average because he didn't save any of the penalties and he obviously missed his one that he had to take. But I think that's scapegoating, and I don't want to do that. We should have won the game before it even got to extra time, in my opinion, let alone penalties. So De Gea gets an average for me. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I'd actually give a 7 to tonight. I thought he was pretty good. He actually put 2 good crosses I can remember into the box that was just inches wide of like people getting their heads to it, and so I thought he was actually a little bit better going forward with his delivery tonight, and defensively I thought he was pretty solid as usual, so I'd give him a 7. Lindelof I'd give a 3 to. Obviously the goal for Villareal is down to him. It's poor marking, he's weak, he's not strong enough to challenge for it, and I think his passing was dodgy, and just I don't think he had a good game, so he gets a 3. Bay gets an average for me. I mean, his passing was off as well, but in terms of tackling and blocks and stuff, I thought he'd done an okay job, but his passing was a bit shabby. But he'd get an average for me of a 5. Shaw I'd give an average to as well. Wasn't getting forward as much, I don't think. He did put a few good crosses in, but I've seen him have a lot better games, to be honest, so I'd give him a 5. McTominay I actually thought was very good tonight. I'd give him above average with a 6. You could argue he could have more, he could have a 7 maybe. But I'd give him a 6. I thought he made 2 good crucial blocks, I remember at one point. His passing wasn't too bad, but he frustrates me because it was still a lot of side-to-side safe passes. But his energy was good, and I do think he was one of the better players. So 6 for McTominay. Pogba, I thought he had below average game. Didn't affect the game in terms of he's a World Cup winner, for God's sake, and I know you can't just win the game on your own, but it's them sort of players that have to influence it and lead by example, and I don't think he did. I really don't. So for me, he gets a 4. Very little creation, as I said. I just don't think he had a good game, so lack of creativity, and I don't think he showed up. So 4 for Pogba. Greenwood gets a 5. Average for me. Looked lively in short little glimpses, but then it kind of trickled out for me. And then he got subbed. This is one of the things I've got though with Ollie. He subbed Greenwood off for Fred. Now, I said Greenwood had an average game, but Greenwood would have been one of my first penalty takers. And you take him off for Fred. Now, Fred scores his penalty, fair play to him. But why make that change when you've got to try and win the game before it gets to that stage? And you're bringing off an attacking player for a more defensive player when you need to win the game. Just doesn't make sense. But Greenwood I'd give an average to of a 5. Bruno I'd give an average of a 5 to as well. He made a few good passes in the game. He obviously put that ball in for Rashford that Rashford should have scored and it went wide, but it was offside. So that's why I didn't cover it in the notes, because when they're offsides I don't usually mention them. But if that had been onside, Rashford has missed a sitter and Bruno's played a wonderful ball. I thought Bruno was frustrated tonight though. He was clearly frustrated at players and decision making, and I can't blame him. I don't think he had a great game himself. I saw him lose the ball plenty of times, but I don't think he was the worst out of everyone. But a bit like Pogba, didn't really show up. I think he was only just a little bit above Pogba in performance. So, but I give him an average. Rashford I thought was terrible tonight. He's clearly not fit, so there's that. But why is Ollie picking him? He's not fit. He kept losing the ball countless times. He lost the ball more than anyone I can remember tonight, and it's not the first time this season. I said in the preview he shouldn't be starting, and he's backed it up with that performance. He's come out with the post-match interview saying all the right things that the fans are going to want to hear, but you're not showing up in terms of action. You can talk the good talk all you want, but you're not showing it. You can do all the good things off the pitch that don't relate to you as a footballer. That's great. But I think he gets too much slack from the fan base and people, and he'll probably start for England now as well from Southgate, and I don't get it, because he's not performing. We've got to stop playing players and starting players off of their name alone. You've got to prove it off on the pitch, and for me, he's not doing that. Whether or not he's injured is another case, but if he's injured, stop playing him. It's as simple as that. Don't play him when he's injured and then give him more excuses that he's having a bad performance. So he shouldn't be playing if he's injured, first and foremost. So let's not... Do you know what I mean? Stop playing him if he's injured. Then we won't moan that he's having a bad game. So for me, he gets a 3. I thought he was terrible. Him and Lindelof were awful. Cavani, I thought was superb again tonight. He got the goal. His work rate off the ball, though, again, tracking back, sitting deeper than the likes of Bruno and Pogba at times, almost in a defensive midfield role. I remember there was one point where they were trying to cross it into the box, Villareal, and he got back and made the block literally on the goal line, like outside of the goal, obviously, on the byline. He gets back, and he's the striker. He's meant to be the furthest up the pitch, and he's got that work rate still going. One of the oldest players, he might be the oldest in the team. And he's performing like that, the effort levels. And his quality as well. I thought he had little service again tonight, but I saw him leading. I saw him talking to Aaron Wan-Bissaka at one point. He was going like that to calm it down, because he rushed a pass and we lost the ball. And he's leading like Bruno does. He's telling people calm it down, trying to help players. And we need more of them characters. We need more of him, and we need more of Bruno. And I thought, again, he was superb, considering he didn't get very much service at all. He still got a goal, and he's going to be sorely missed when he goes. Obviously, we got another year with him, but I'm gonna miss him when he's gone. Already, I'm worried about when he goes, because who are we getting to replace that player and what he brings? Not just in terms of performance, but his character and his mentality. He looked head and shoulders above most of the players tonight, even though we lost. He looked like he should have been on the winning team, how he was playing. And just not letting the occasion get to him. He looked calm. He looked like he was in control of what he was doing. And I don't think a lot of our players did. I think a lot of our players bottled it tonight. Mentality, as I'm talking about. But I don't think he was one of them. The subs we made... This is another thing. Ollie didn't make any subs till, extra time? Villareal made all 5 changes before we even made one. And you got to remember, when you bring players on, you've already got an advantage over the focus and concentration levels of players that have been playing the majority of the game. The longer you play in the game, the tireder and the more fatigue you've got, the more mistakes you make. So they've got an advantage of, even for a while when they brought Fred on it as well, there was a gap between bringing the other players on after Fred. So they've still got an advantage of 4-1 in fresher players in terms of focus and concentration levels after more than 90 minutes of games. It's not just a 90-minute game, it was extra because of the extra time and penalties. And we made them subs, but we made them too late again. And I don't know why Ollie's doing it. It's 1-1, the game's about to go into extra time, and you're not even making subs to try and get that 2-1 win before it goes to extra time. I can't understand it. I really can't. And it's one of the things that makes me think Ollie isn't the man for this job, because every manager will make them changes and he doesn't do it. And that can't instill confidence in the players on the bench. So I just don't get it. It baffles me, and I do think that had a major part to play in why we lost tonight. Maybe we would have lost anyway, but at least put the changes on, and then you can cancel that out of reasons why we lost. Do you know what I mean? If they come on earlier and we still lose, then fair enough. But now that's a cloudy thing that you've been doing all season as well. It's not just tonight, remember. He's been doing this all year. I don't get why he does it. No Donny again tonight. He was on the bench. Doesn't bring him on. Doesn't bring Diallo on. Doesn't bring these players on. Brings on Tuanzebe for Bay. Bray looked like he was injured coming off again as well. Like, he's just signed a 5-year contract and he's injured again. He got injured in training the other day. Yesterday, I believe it was. He can't even stay fit and he's just signed a 5-year contract. What does that say for centre-backs coming in as well, where we need to fill in a position for that? What, Bay going to be with Maguire, but then he's going to be injured. So then what? Lindelof's back in. It's just a mess. The subs, Tellers, Tuanzebe, Mata, James and Fred, I'd give all an average to. I don't think they affected the game. Obviously, some of them took their penalties well, but... I mean, they all took their penalties well, but in terms of affecting the game and influencing it, they didn't really do a lot. But most of them didn't have enough time to do that anyway. So, that's on Ollie for me. Like, the players are at fault as well, because they've got to show up. They've got to prove that they can get it done. That's why I put it in the preview tonight. Go out there and get it done. And they didn't do it. We've only got ourselves to blame, but Ollie is a big factor in this as well, because of the late substitutions, the lack of risk, the lack of, do you know what I mean? Like, taking the front foot in the game. He refuses to do it, and it's cost us again. And remember, this is like the little brother of the Champions League as well. How are we going to go and win a Champions League or even get to quarters or semis with this sort of performance and mentality? I can't see it. Rashford said we're very close, as I said, to winning titles. No, we're not. No, we're not. Let's not lie. Let's not talk a good game and then look like a fool when you can't back it up on the pitch. It's a shame tonight. I was confident going into the game that we were going to win. But maybe now this is a huge reality hit. We've had a great season in terms of finishing second, but we were miles behind City. And it's about the standards you set and expectations you have. That we just need to accept now that this is a culture of, like Scholes said it after the game, he's questioning how many players are actually hurt by that losing that final. Now, they'd be upset. I saw a load of them taking off their runners-up medals, and I'd be the same. But how many of them does it actually hurt deep enough for them to now be inspired to come back next year and actually win something? Because I can't see it. And that's the difference between teams like 99 and they got that bounce-back ability. And I don't think this squad's got it. Because if they have, they haven't proved it yet. Till they win something, they haven't proved it. Disappointed tonight. I'm gutted. I'm not as angry as I thought I'd be. I feel a bit empty. I feel like I've gone to a funeral or something. It's weird. Man of the match for me tonight, it could be Scott or Cavani for me. I'm going to give it to Cavani, but I wouldn't be mad if people give it to McTominay. But for me, I would give it to Cavani. Ollie for me tonight, I'd give him a 3. And maybe that's generous. I just don't know what to say anymore with it. I don't know if he is the right man. How long do we give him as well? Because if we have another season of this, do you know what I mean? We have to win something. We can't just keep giving him the benefit of the doubt because he's a legend of the club in terms of what he did as a player. This is a different time now. Time's moved on. We won't forget the memories you give us as a player, but this is it now. You're in a different position and you have to back that up. And it's his coaches as well, it's Carrick and his feeling. It's not just him. But at the end of the day, he has the final say. And I think he's cowering away and hiding away from making these substitutions and tactical changes at times. And I think a lot of the fans see that, and I definitely see it. So, for me, I don't know who we'd get in as a replacement, but I'm going to give him another year. I will say that. I'm going to give him next season. But we have to review it at some point. If not in the middle of next year, depending on how it's going in the league and such. Disappointed, as I said tonight. I really thought we were going to win. Even in extra time, I thought we might get on and get that goal, but it just didn't happen. Not enough players, not enough leaders in that team for me. I don't know what else to say, guys. I really don't. I will be back for the Euros. I'm going to be back doing videos, especially for the England games. But this is a sour note to end this season on. It really is. And I feel sorry for the fans that went out there as well. Yeah, man. I'll be back for the Euros, and obviously I'll be back next year for some of the games as well. Don't know if I'll be back for all of them because I don't know what's happening with work and stuff. But a sour and bitter note to end the year on, and disappointed, and I'm empty right now. So I'll catch you guys soon.